Omniscient Eye is the new raid sniper from Garden of Salvation, and I think it's been gaining a lot of hype. I've seen it been getting a lot of praise, people have been asking me about it, but to be honest, I'm not too impressed by it. Oddly enough, I actually got this weapon for my first completion in the raid, but I really wasn't too impressed by it on first glance. Of course, I did have a pretty mediocre roll, but even after getting a no distractions roll, I still didn't think it was anything too special. So to quickly glance over the weapon and talk about its stats and traits, it's yet another rapid fire sniper from the raid. It's got the Supremacy scope zoom level, which isn't bad. It's still good. I think a lot of people really like the scope zoom level, but it isn't the lowest. It's not Twilight Oath, it's not Revoker. And in terms of its base stats, it has 43 range, 42 stability, 73 handling, 61 reload, 72 aim assist, 40 zoom, and apparently in the database now we have a bounce intensity stat, which is 45 on the sniper and tends to be vertical. That's pretty interesting. I don't know exactly what that stat is responsible for. Maybe it's the bounce of each shot and the severity of it and the direction of it, but I always thought that had to do with the recoil direction and stability. I could be wrong though, or maybe perhaps it's the bounce of the crosshair or the scope when you jump or ability jump, or perhaps when you hit the ground after fall damage. Not exactly sure. If you can clarify this, let me know in the comments. Getting back on track now, the stats of this weapon are pretty basic. They're pretty generic rapid fire sniper stats. I think they're very similar to that of the Supremacy, and maybe even Alone as a God. Both of these snipers also coming from different raids and being rapid fire snipers, and they're all very similar in stats. I will say though, what separates this weapon stats is it does have ever so slightly more range. So technically speaking, you can get the highest range that I know of on a 140 RPM sniper, at least out of the top options with Omniscient Eye. Omniscient Eye has a higher base range than that of the Supremacy, which has 39 range. The Omniscient Eye has 43 range, and in addition to that, it can get all the different barrel perks, but it has something that the Supremacy cannot get, which is accurized rounds. So the Omniscient Eye actually tops out at 68 range, which is, again, the highest I know of any of the top 140 RPM rapid fire snipers, which is pretty good. That's pretty crazy, not gonna lie. It does have lower aim assist than that of the Supremacy, and of course Alone as a God with 72 versus 77 and 79, but the high range stat, if you were to get a max range Omniscient Eye with 72 aim assist with 68 range, that pairing is pretty insane. Like, you're going to be landing shots very easily and consistently. And the ideal perk combination on this weapon that you want is of course maximum range, no distractions, and snapshot. So there is again something to be said about its unique perk combination. It's the only rapid fire sniper that can get no distractions, and one of the only snipers that can pair snapshot, the fastest ADS perk, with no distractions. So without a doubt, this is a great sniper. It's one of the best snipers. It's one of the top snipers in the game, but compared to other top snipers, where does this sniper really fit in? Where does it see a reason to be used over these other top snipers? And that's where I don't really agree fully with this sniper and why I would ever really use it. So let's quickly do a breakdown of the top legendary snipers in the game to be using. Starting with Twilight Oath. It's got the lowest zoom scope, which means it's the most versatile and snappy scope. It's got perks like Firmly Planted, it's got opening shot on a 140 RPM rapid fire sniper, box breathing on a rapid fire sniper, and range perks to go along with it. Firmly Planted means less flinch and more aim assist. Opening shot gives you crazy aim assist and range, and box breathing gives this sniper the ability to be the only rapid fire sniper that can kill supers. Sure, the stats are somewhat lackluster for a rapid fire sniper, especially in comparison to Omniscient Eye and others on this list, but you're not really using Twilight Oath for the stats. You're using it because it has perks that other weapons cannot get, and a scope that is limited to itself and one other sniper in the game currently. Next we have Supremacy, which is one of the only and one of the best options for rapid fire snipers in the kinetic slot. It's got a good stat package, a pretty decent scope. It's not quite as low zoom as the Twilight Oath, but the next best thing, and it gets staple perks like snapshot and rapid hit. Alone as a God is another 140 RPM sniper in the kinetic slot. It's got a medium low zoom scope, so again the step up from Supremacy, which is It's alright depending on what you like, and it's got the highest aim assist value in the game on a sniper as far as I know. We have the Beloved, which is an adaptive sniper. It's higher impact and as a result can headshot supers now in Shadowkeep. It can roll perks like No Distractions and Quick Draw together, as well as some other unique perk combinations that other snipers can't get, and it has a maximum of 80 range combined with 68 aim assist, only 4 aim assist less than the Omniscient Eye with a much higher range stat. A little side note as well is you can farm the Twilight Oath and Beloved, two of the best snipers in the game, from the Menagerie, where you can't do that for a lot of other snipers on this list. You'd have to get them from a raid. Lastly on the list we have the Revoker, which has its own unique ammo regeneration perk. It has the lowest zoom scope in the kinetic slot, matching that of the Twilight Oath in the energy slot, being the only other sniper other than Twilight Oath to have this scope, and it has snapshot as well as an insanely high range stat. So where exactly does Omniscient Eye fit in here? Sure, it's the highest range stat on a 140 RPM sniper, and it's the only rapid fire snipe to roll with no distractions, and one of the few to have snapshot as well as no distractions. But is that really worth it? Is that worth using over other snipers? With no distractions and no box breathing on a rapid fire sniper, you're giving up the ability to one-shot supers. I can only justify using Twilight Oath nowadays because it still has some sort of an ability to one-shot headshot most supers, and that's a really big deal. I actually don't really feel comfortable using a sniper that doesn't at least have some sort of an ability to shut down supers anymore. In a more competitive scenario, shutting down a super has the power to change the entire pace of a game. And even in casual modes, just being able to shut down supers feels phenomenal, and being able to keep your streaks alive, keep momentum going is really important. You don't feel as powerless. So not being able to one-tap supers, yeah, that's a big deal to me. The next thing to talk about is scope zoom. So yes, this is very subjective. I will always encourage you to go with the scope zoom that you feel is best with your muscle memory. However, I do believe that the lower scope zoom level factually is more versatile, especially in close ranges, and you can still make them work at long range as well. To me, I want to be able to be as aggressive as I can and as versatile as I can with a sniper rifle, and to do that I need the lowest zoom scope possible, which also feels the snappiest and allows me to flick the best with, in my experience. So to me, not having that low zoom scope of the Twilight Oath isn't, again, too much of a deal breaker, but it is impactful. And there simply isn't enough benefit on the Omniscient Eye to not be using the Twilight Oath zoom or to tolerate a slightly higher zoom. What makes the curated Twilight Oath so insane is the fact that of course it has snapshot, it has the lowest zoom sniper scope in the game, and on top of that it has box breathing, which has two purposes here: killing supers and extending your range. So it allows you to use a very low zoom scope and pretty low range stat at still farther ranges because of box breathing, which makes it insanely versatile. The curated role of the Twilight Oath is so versatile. The only sniper in my opinion that provides enough benefit to swapping from the Twilight Oath zoom level is Beloved, and the reason being is because it's an adaptive sniper, so I can headshot most supers without even box breathing, and still has a combination of no distractions and quick draw with an insane range stat and pretty high aim assist for an adaptive sniper. So why would I need high range on something like Omniscient Eye and no distractions on that when I can just get that on Beloved, still be able to kill supers, and still have quick draw? I mean, technically, yes, you're right. Snapshot is slightly faster than quick draw, but is that super minute difference really worth using the Omniscient Eye? I feel like Omniscient Eye finds itself in this awkward place as a halfway point or a hybrid of Beloved and Twilight Oath, but doesn't exactly do something better or more significant than either of them. Not to mention, to even consider using the sniper, I'd have to have a literal perfect roll, meaning maximum range, no distractions, and snapshot, which I only have a maximum 3 times a week to try and get out of a raid, which seems pretty unlikely. So yes, I do understand that snipers are subjective. You want to use the one that you feel most comfortable with and the one that you feel most effective with. However, I will say that I believe pretty factually with Omniscient Eye, you are giving up a lot of significant ability that other snipers already give you. Does that mean the sniper's bad? No. Does it mean it's not top tier? Not at all. It's still one of the best. Is it overhyped? Yeah, in my opinion, I think so. Another small unrelated caveat with this sniper is that I was actually pretty disappointed to see another rapid fire sniper from the raid. I would have really loved for once to see another or different archetype of sniper come from the raid with something unique to present, like maybe an adaptive sniper, maybe a high impact sniper, something else that was just a bit more unique. I feel like, again, every raid we've gotten a 140 RPM sniper, and I'd like to see something different personally. It's going to be a little while until I actually compile my list of what I think are the best snipers in the game as of Destiny 2 Shadowkeep, because I believe there's a sniper coming from the dungeon as well, which appears to be yet another rapid fire sniper based on the model. It's a Vice model, but we'll have to wait and see to confirm. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed my opinions and thoughts on the Omniscient Eye. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so definitely drop them down in the comments below. And if you'd like to see more content like this, of course you can subscribe to the channel or even check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Drewskys. I stream pretty frequently, so I hope to see you there. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.